Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Wherever you find American troops today, you'll find the men of the Transportation Corps. Enough and on time. That's the story we tell you today. The story of the Army Quartermaster Corps.
These youthful servicemen are members of the Army's Military Police Corps.
One of the most important forces behind the lines, the Army Ordnance Corps.
Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast. I am Sergeant First Class Adam Ross, Public Affairs NCOIC here at 19th Expeditionary Sustainment Command, and we are doing a special podcast this week talking about current events, current affairs that can help you, and that is focusing on COVID prevention, COVID-19 prevention. That's a big subject matter here on the Korean Peninsula. And we have two gentlemen in studio who are very qualified to talk about this. One is Lieutenant James Rainey. He is the Deputy Command Surgeon for 19th ESC. Sir, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, welcome. Nice to be here. Thank you for having us.
And we're also joined by Mr. Han Ahn, who is with our Community Relations Department. And he's an expert on, everything outside our gates, not just medical stuff, well, a variety of things. But you know all about what will get you in trouble if you don't abide by the Korean restrictions, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to be hopping around a little bit. We got a lot of important things to discuss. So, sir, we'll start with you. We've seen a rise recently in COVID infections across the peninsula. Who are the most vulnerable to infections right now?
Well, the most vulnerable population at this time are those that are unvaccinated and those with previously identified comorbidities. The whole point that we're trying to get across, and the reason why we want to encourage those to get the vaccine, is as this virus becomes more infectious, those that have the vaccine stops this virus from mutating within its host, and we slow down the spread significantly.
Why is it so important to get as many soldiers and family members vaccinated against COVID-19?
Right. So the current mission right now is an urgency to push for vaccinated troops. For any unit, of course, one of the top priorities is medical readiness. Any soldier who contracts COVID-19, it significantly affects the personnel and the mission sets. The urgency to encourage soldiers in getting a COVID-19 vaccination is to pretty much ensure that the individual is protected from severe symptoms, also slowing the spread to those that may be unvaccinated or more vulnerable to the virus. Overall, it's going to be our transition to a normal way of life.
And one thing you mentioned, sir, protecting, it not only just protects yourself, but protecting the people who, because not everyone can get the vaccine. So, for example, like you're helping kids who, for example, maybe can't get the vaccine. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Of course. So at this time, not everyone can receive the vaccine, just like you said. By us encouraging others to get the vaccine, it is going to protect those that cannot get it.
And is that like the herd immunity concept?
It is.
Okay. And so, what are some of the hesitations, I guess, from soldiers in getting the vaccines? Like, what are some of the commonly asked questions that you're fielding?
Right. So, a lot of common questions that we received about the vaccine itself was, can I get COVID-19 from a COVID vaccine itself? No, there is no COVID vaccine that actually gives you COVID-19. None of the vaccines out there contain the live virus that would actually cause it. So, to put it blatantly, no.
And the misconception there is, like, there are some vaccines that work like that, where they have a little bit of, not for COVID, but for other diseases, right? Or is that a misconception?
So what it does is, for example, like the Moderna vaccine, what it does is it mimics some of the symptoms that you would have in the COVID vaccine, but it's an mRNA protein vaccine. So it is not going to give you COVID-19, but you may experience some of the symptoms of the actual virus itself.
So we've heard about people getting the COVID-19 virus even after they've been vaccinated. So is that due to the mutations of the virus, or what is that due to?
Right. So one of the commonly asked questions, another one was, can I get COVID-19 if I get the vaccine? Absolutely. You can get it. However, the chances of contracting, spreading, and having severe symptoms are significantly less.
So you're saying even it'll help you even if you contract the virus, because you'll have a much better defense against it once it's in your body?
Of course, like any vaccine, how it works is it prepares your body and gets its defenses up against the virus itself.
And so let's move over to Mr. Ahn. So we've heard there's been a sharp rise in COVID-19 contractions in Korea, and with that, they've had more restrictions outside the gates of our bases. So in Daegu here, what can you tell me about what the current restrictions are for people out in public?
So the Korean central government released the revised 4-tier social distancing guideline effective since July 1st. And to talk about Daegu in specific, the city is right now operating under level 2 social distancing until this Sunday, 25 July. And with the highest number of confirmed cases released today, which is 1842, we foresee Daegu extending level 2, if not higher. And by level 2, I mean that the city is enforcing restriction of maximum of 4-person group gathering. And this restriction will be enforced in Daegu until 1 August, as mandated nationwide by the central government. And restaurants and cafes in specific are ordered to close at 2300, and all entertainment night facilities, including clubs and bars, are ordered to close at 2300 as well.
And so that can have, so when you say no more than 4 people in a gathering, that means like even in your house, like a private residence, if you live off post, you could get in trouble if you have like a party at your house.
Yes, sir. Both indoors and outdoors, you have to completely comply with the restriction of the maximum of 4-person group gathering.
And so that's level 2, but we know in other parts of Korea it's a higher level. So right now Busan is level 3. So if Daegu goes to the same level as Busan, how does that change things?
So currently, as for Busan, the city has elevated their social distancing conditions to level 3, effective as of yesterday, 21 July until 1 August. And the key note under level 3 is that social events such as weddings, funerals, and rallies will be kept at 49 people. So it has to be less than 50 people. And then the restaurants and cafes, including convenience stores or street food vendors, are ordered to close at 2200, while all entertainment night facilities are ordered to cease operation without a set time period. Yes.
And so basically, if you're doing any traveling, if you've gotten authorization for your command to travel, just look up what the current level is for that city, and so you know you're abiding by all the.
Yes, sir. So based on the city office, the restrictions may differ depending on the location you are traveling. So I recommend that if you're traveling outside Daegu, please look up what local restrictions are to be safe.
Okay. Well, thank you. And so right now we're going to take a little break, and we'll come right back and talk more with Lieutenant Rainey and Mr. Ahn about COVID prevention right here on the Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Good day, Area 4. My name is Shalonda Wright, and I am your guidance counselor at the Camp Carroll Education Center. On the 30th of July, we will be hosting our annual summer college fair from 1000 until 1500. We will have our college vendors, and we will also have USO. And with the courtesy of USO, there will be free hot dogs and sodas. So please come out and support, and hope to see you there.
back on the Every Soldier Counts podcast, talking about preventing COVID, making sure we can get back to less restrictions here on the Korean Peninsula. We've had kind of a spike in cases outside the gates and within them too. So we're talking again with Lieutenant Rainey, the Deputy Command Surgeon. So, sir, beyond vaccines are great. We're trying to get as many troops vaccinated and family members vaccinated, but it's not just vaccines that are going to beat back the virus. So what other things can people do to prevent COVID?
Right. So the lovely analogy I like to use with this is in order to be healthy, you're not just going to do exercise. You're going to eat healthy as well. So same like with this, you're not just going to get a vaccine. You're going to follow a healthy routine of the core tenets, which is mask at the ready, mind the meter, and leaving sickly, leave quickly. And
what does that mean to you, that last one, sir?
Right. So another thing is if you're experiencing any kind of symptoms that you're just not feeling well, or you probably should not be at work, say something, and then if you're showing any of the symptoms, go ahead and get tested at one of the clinical testing sites.
And we talked about this a lot, like kind of at the outbreak of the COVID pandemic, but the mind the meter part, that might be something people kind of forget a little bit. Why is that so vital to preventing the spread?
Right. So even if you get the vaccine, one of the things is you are not 100% immune from contracting COVID-19, as one of the common questions was. So by that, we still need to enforce keeping the 6 feet social distance per person, regardless of your vaccination status. That's just going to help prevent the spread overall.
Mm-hmm. And that's because, if you're so far away it's expelled from your body through breathing or coughing or something, you can only go so far, right?
Right, exactly. And that's still the CDC guidelines that we're following to this day, kind of how you and I are 6 feet apart right now. That's exactly how we want to keep the process going overall.
Okay. And so who are the most vulnerable right now to is there a vulnerable population, or is basically everyone can get it equally?
So, of course, there's more vulnerable populations when it comes to COVID-19, those with compromised immune systems, and, of course, the age differences as well. But everyone can get it. There's, regardless if you have the vaccine, everyone can get the COVID-19 virus. And that's why it's so important that we are following core tenets with social distancing, mask wear, and overall sanitation.
And with these spikes in cases, is there like an after action review where commands or health officials can point to kind of breakdowns in the process that may have led to these spreads? Is that something you study?
Yes. So thankfully, we constantly have meetings within our medical channels, meetings within our official channels to decide what are the next mitigations we are going to have as far as COVID-19 guidelines. But there's easy fixes that units can do to just improve the prevention of COVID. Some of these is following CDC guidelines, primarily the Republic of Korea's guidelines, as Johan was saying earlier, and then following our USFK core tenets. Right now, what we have is a reducing in manning and maximizing telework during these rising cases. This is very important, as well as reducing our mass gatherings, reflecting that on the ROC guidance as well, and then always following the social distance measures, sanitizing our hands regularly. Those are kind of things we knew from the very beginning, but it's old but gold information.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like I said, if anyone is feeling symptoms, going to get tested. It's very, very important that people just admit that.
Okay. And Mr. Ahn, coming back to you. So what can you tell me about in the other Camp Humphreys is a major base here on Korea. We have some of our units here in 19th, like 94th MP. What are some of the restrictions in the Pyeongtaek area where Camp Humphreys is?
So basically, currently Seoul and Gizma, which includes Pyeongtaek and Area 1, are subject to a strict restriction of 2 persons in a group gathering after 1800, as they are operating under Level 4, the highest level from the 4-tier social distancing guideline. And under level 4, all events, including weddings, funerals, are prohibited, and all rallies are banned except for rallies consisting of one person. And restaurants, cafes, including convenience stores or street food vendors, are ordered to close at 2200. And while all entertainment night facilities are ordered to cease operation without a set time period. And they will remain under level 4 until Sunday, 25 July as well.
Okay, so another thing to keep in mind if you have authorized travel to those areas. Right now, it's only official travel, mission-related travel for service members going to those areas. Okay, so one of the things we're hearing about a lot in the news now is the Delta variant. What can you tell me about that?
So the Delta variant is a mutation that COVID-19 virus went through that makes it basically more infectious. And this is primarily because not everyone is vaccinated, right? So when that happens, it allows the virus to survive. And as a virus survives and continues to spread, that's what helps it mutate symptomatic.
So really, the Delta variant is more infectious, but it doesn't change what we're doing here. Is still focusing on getting vaccines, preventing it by abiding by the core tenets, right?
Of course. So even though the hospitalization is significantly less with the Delta variant and those that have vaccines, what we're doing is just making sure that we protect those that are not able to get the vaccines, those that are a lot more vulnerable.
And sir, so if you don't have the vaccine, is it easy? It's easy to get it, correct?
Yes, and especially if you're here in Korea, there's a lovely little app out there that makes the appointment so much easier to make. It's from this little app called Core Health, and when you download it from the Apple or Google Play Store, it's free, and it's going to have the symbol for the 65th Medical Brigade. As soon as you open up that app, you'll see COVID-19 vaccination appointments. It's that simple. You can go ahead and make it, and then it'll help that much more in getting units to encourage their soldiers and personnel to go ahead and get vaccinated.
So again, that is KOR Health.
Right, just one word, KORHEALTH.
Okay, sounds good. So it's, if you don't have the vaccine and you want to get it, that's one easy way to get it. Okay, well, I want to thank both of you gentlemen for joining us here today. A lot of good information put out about how to cut into this increase in COVID cases across the peninsula. I want to thank Lieutenant Rainey and Mr. Ahn for stopping by, and thank you for listening to the Every Soldier Counts podcast. We'll talk to you next time.